Hi. So this is the first of four videos that I'm going to do around what happened with when I was scammed. Um, so I've called them the hook, line, stinker, and the aftermath. I think there's quite a bit to talk about here, and also just quite a bit to sort of take apart. It was a pretty traumatic experience for me, especially at the end. So the aftermath is going to be something that I'll spend a bit of time on. But literally, the hook, which is the first part. I think everybody sort of has thoughts of delusions of grandeur and all of those things, and we also want things to be easy and to have um, to have some of the good life, or to be able to at least get to some of the good life. Mine was an investment scam. Um, So, I've done quite a lot of stuff in investments over the course of the year, over the course of my life. I've gone lots of courses, done lots of things. And so, in one sense, I felt like I was quite savvy in terms of investments, in terms of things that I'd done, in terms of how I looked at the world. And so, for me to be scammed, um, was quite a blow, both in terms of the ego, in terms of both your confidence, and in terms of just your self-respect and your self-worth. I've talked about those topics previously, and I'll probably talk about them in this. But the scam really was about, it was a crypto scam, and I have, since then I still do crypto, and it just offered lots of things. And I mean, I was doing due diligence as I was going along. The things that they were talking about, or the person was talking about, was happening, because there was a lot of volatility in crypto at that point in time. And everything that I sort of did sort of was like it was working out. It was exactly as it would sort of seem. I wasn't just blindly giving my money off to somebody else. I was actually tracking it quite thoroughly and doing work on it each week, and making sure some of the things that were happening were going on. And I had access in a sort of inverted commas to the money that I'd provided them to do the work, and I could see it grow. I could see it, and it's interesting, as soon as I had that growth, that's really the hook. I could see, they did some things at the beginning where things went a little bad, and you were like, oh shit, if it's, because I did have the whole time I was thinking, at least in the beginning, and if I was honest throughout a lot of the things, I was thinking, is this a scam? Is this a scam? I just kept on coming back to that. But every time I looked at things and I saw things and I did stuff and I checked websites and I did all the things that you're supposed to do, a lot of it came back as, no, this seems to be okay. This seems to be legit. It doesn't seem like it's, no huge red flags were waving. There were a few small ones that I might have been like, okay, if I'd been in maybe a better better position, then I might have sort of seen it a little bit more for what it was. But at the time, I saw this as an opportunity to get out of some of the ruts that I was in, and to actually fulfill some of the dreams that I wanted. And that was really the hook. It was really about not so much, it was about that financial freedom. And I really remember the time when some of it was happening, and it was, in the beginning, it was small numbers that were changing. In the end, the numbers that we were dealing with were probably ridiculous, and in terms of what had happened across a year. But right at the beginning, it was really like just an ability to sort of say, oh, this might be some way how I can just enjoy my life a little bit, not feel like I have to work, not feel like I have to do. And that was really the hook for me. It was about, it also reached into all of those things as a male, of providing for your family, making sure that your kids are set up for the future, because I could sort of say, well, some of this money could go to them so that they wouldn't have to struggle as much as I did in the beginning. All of those things were there, and they were really that line, that hook that came in and sort of said, this is something that could really just change your life. And I mean, I wasn't thinking of it changing my life in a huge way, and suddenly I was doing lots of different things. I was just looking at it from a simplistic point of view of maybe not having to work, or working in a field that I really wanted to, and really be something that I could do. And so that was the hook. And the guy who was talking to, I mean, I don't know where they get their training, but all of the training, all of the things that were talked about were just so smooth. There was never a time when I thought, oh, this guy's reading a script, this guy's making it up as he goes along. He felt like a genuine, enthusiastic person, and was enthusiastic for my success. And all of that sort of came together to sort of give me a sort of a sense that, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. I might actually get something that I wanted. And so therefore, when I was at that point in time, it was sort of like I started to drip feed money because it was going successfully. And so then I started to add more money to it and stuff. And then it just kept on going. I'll talk about a little bit more about the ongoing thing in the next video, which is basically, bringing along the line. But anybody who's ever been in a scam will understand these feelings. They don't start off as like you'll solve everybody's problem and you'll be the world's richest man. They start off with really small, tangible things that you think you can do and things that you can change. They're not sort of saying you'll never work again. It was more like, oh, well, you'll get some money out of this and you'll be able to maybe invest it, or you'll be able to go on holiday, or you'll be able to pay off those debts. Small things. And so you sort of think, oh, okay, yeah, that's not so bad. And then they'll bring in bigger things and you'll start to sort of think, oh, yeah, well, I could do those. And then I could do these things. So it was really just bringing you along. And, in the end, you just end up being hooked. Like anything, it's nearly like it's an addiction. You want to see how things are going. I found myself doing a lot of things that I subsequently found out in Lifeline that are really addictive processes. You want to check things, you want to see things, you want to see it grow, you want to talk to this person, you want to do all of these things to make you sort of feel like things are happening, things are changing, and you want to see that this is going to continue to go. And be your reality, that this is going to change your reality, and suddenly something exciting is going to happen. And that's all those sort of things were the things that they were talking about all the time as we went through this. It was always about, what are you going to do with this? How are you going to change when you do this stuff? It's going to be exciting. Thinking back on it now, I mean, I have had quite a lot of times when I've thought about it, I sort of think, how can you be so gullible? But it's because we're not designed that way. But in one sense, we have so much negativity around us a lot of the time that when something good comes along, you just want to hope that it is the truth. It's only when it becomes too much that you sort of think this can't be true. And I mean, the whole, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. It probably is. But that only happened later, right? At the beginning, it was all viable. It was within the realms of stuff that I'd done myself. And so I sort of felt like this was just an extension of me, and maybe somebody else can do some of the stuff rather than me having to do everything. So for me, it was also about time saving. So it was a lot of things that it kicked into that then just kept me hooked. Yeah, that was the start of it. And then I'll do a couple more videos on this, and I'll talk to you about how it kept on going and what happened from then. Anyway, I really hope that if you have been in this, you've been able to get out. If you've been scammed, you've been able to get out early, and that you've been able to reset your life from it, because I think it can be, as I'll showcase it can be devastating. Anyway, I'll have to talk to you later. I'll leave it at this, and I'll talk to you a little bit more in the next one.